chumps are here. The chumps are here. The chump.
Suns, Booker for the win. Yes! Booker, this is for the win.
Welcome to the Valley Podcast, and as you hear Salty singing, the chumps are here. Don't
The
you
chumps
feel
are
like
here.
Don't you feel like a chump tonight?
Chumps are here.
Little inside baseball. We are planning on doing a little alternate intro with lowlights. Maybe we'll have Salty do the voiceover for the chumps are here version of the lyrics.
Bro.
But if you guys have any lowlights for the Suns, maybe you could find one from tonight. Please put it in the chat. Let us know something that really made you sad as a Sun. Maybe a moment, maybe a shot that didn't hit, maybe Bledsoe hitting a winner against us or something like that. Tough loss tonight, Salty. I mean, I guess I should just be excited that I have electricity being in Texas because it's been out all the last couple of days. But I'll tell you what, man, if I had known, if you would have told me that this is the performance that was going to happen tonight, it was going to be such a gut-wrenching loss, I almost would rather be laying in my bed, freezing with my dogs, trying to stay warm, simply not trying to die in like 40-degree weather. I mean, it's like one outside, but my house is dropping down to 40 degrees. Please pour salt on me from this game. I need to hear it.
The chumps are here.
They are.
Yeah, man. So just to start it off, bro, my salt levels aren't like through the roof, but you know, it is what it is. I'm always gonna sprinkle the salt, you know. Shout out to new follower Zane B. What is it? Hold up, Zane B. Khan. She followed me because she saw my name, Saltiest Suns fan or whatever. She thought it was funny. Anyway, it's the truth, dude. I mean, I've been trained. I was born in the darkness. You know what I'm saying? I was born in the shittiness of Arizona sports. That's what they should say, right? But man, I've been a fan since, you know, they came here. I was before I could remember. So it is what it is. I just kind of prepare for situations like this. And I saw this game. And then the minute I saw that Kyrie was out, I'm like, shit, here we go. Like trap game numero uno. Because basically what it turned into was a James Harden team when he was on the Rockets, you know, and we still lost to those teams. So I was taking a pulse on Twitter, and everybody's like, "Oh, this is a lock, man. Kyrie's out. It's a W, easy W." So like, of course, I was thinking about the Suns players, and they're thinking the same thing, right? They're thinking, "Oh man, KD's out, Kyrie's out. Easy win. We could sleepwalk through this win." And then they come out, which will break the game down, but they come out and they light shit up, right? Booker's just clowning fools on offense, and we go up by like 24. I'm like, oh well, here we go, dude. You know how this goes, because I forgot what game it was. It was a game at home. What game did we go up big and then we lost the lead and then lost at home? I can't remember who we were playing.
Was that one of those bummer games against one of those crappy teams like Detroit or something like that?
It was one of the teams.
Kings, maybe?
It was similar to this, where we went up big, over 20 points, just could not hit threes, and we ended up losing. But so I kind of had a feeling that we were going to lose this game because we're coming off this win streak. And then you got a big a championship contender with major stars, and then two of them say they're going to be out. So the mindset immediately is like, okay, mentally, if you're not a championship team, you're going to just go into this mindset. Well, we don't need to bring our 100%, and that's what is that's the reason why they lost. Now I'll tell you the two reasons, and we'll get into it. Two reasons why we lost this game. Now some people are trying to put it on Ayton. and I don't blame him for what was happening. I blame the coach for not making adjustments and for icing Book, right? He iced his own player. Book was cooking, and then what does he do? He leaves him out way too long in the second quarter, ices his own player, and cannot make adjustments in the fourth quarter when they go small. So the loss is on Booker for becoming the invisible man, and it's on our coach. That's it. And I'm done with my rant, dude.
So appreciate the rant, Salt, as usual. The highlight of the podcast. Coach, glad to have you, man. I know you were having some troubles getting on. We got also a little special guest here, Spurs fan Gary in the house. Gary, you bet on the game as usual?
Yeah, actually, that was like almost the only game I bet on today, and I bet
because you felt so good about it, didn't you?
It was all overs. I bet the overs for the half for the game. Live bet it, and then I took the Nets at halftime just because they were down so much. They're only favored by 1. They're down by 20. It's kind of a no-brainer. But
Coach, if you don't mind, I was going to have Gary kind of go over what he texted me right after the game. I was a little bit too salty to even read your text, if I'm being completely honest. So, what was your message that you saw as an outsider?
Just, I don't know, man. To me, it was like a shit's going to happen during a long season game. You know what I mean? I feel like I didn't watch the whole thing. I was at the gym when it started. I caught the very end of the first half and then watched all the second half. And it's clear you guys are the better team. You know what I mean? When you can do what you were doing at the beginning of that game. And it's not like there was like some embarrassment deal or anybody really shit the bed. I felt like Booker didn't have a typical Booker game, which that's fine. I mean, there's not a lot of guys who get 40 points a game their entire career, so he's going to have some little dips in here and there. He's come off 6 straight wins. It's not like you played 6 teams that are at the bottom of the East, and then you played a full strength Nets team, and that happened. So it's not like, oh yeah, they can win, but they can't beat good teams. It's like it's a long season, man. Like I think the defense fell apart, especially in the second half. Booker didn't do anybody any favors, especially at the end of the game. Like, I understand you're the guy, but I mean, either take a better attempt at a shot, or Chris Paul is hot as shit and he's wide open at the top of the arc, kick that out. But it's just splitting hairs to me. I don't think it's that big of a deal, man. It's the 7th game after you won 6 in a row in February. You know what I'm saying? And you were up 20. It's not like you got blown out by 20 by a wounded net squad. So I don't know, man. Don't get me wrong. As a Spurs fan, if I was in your guys' shoes, I'd been throwing shit around the living room and upset and mad, but I would have started putting remotes back together and stuff like that and be like, it's one game or whatever. But I mean, we don't have the potential you guys have this year. So I get where it's different, but this will be fine.
I think I would agree with you if they weren't down Kyrie and 3 things. If they weren't down Kyrie, 1, if they weren't down KD, 2, and if we didn't have them down by 23 is the 3rd reason. Those 3 things I can handle, they got hot because Harden got to fully do his thing. I can handle those things, but being up 23 and just knowing that there were times where I thought that there was no way in hell the Nets were going to come in. Like I was literally just like walking around, cooking, cleaning, watching the game, just like giggling and stuff. And then for them to come back like that. And for the Suns, in my opinion, they did not close out on threes, which is the bane of their effing existence. Yeah. Coach, would you agree? Not closing out on threes, or is it something else?
Man, you know what's the worst thing about that is I even made a note in the first quarter. I've never seen them close out on threes the way they did in the first quarter. And to not hold that over to the second half is a real killer. If I was a coach of a team that did that, that is just an absolute sticking point for me. After that, man, it's just a bullshit game. Tyler Johnson goes off on us. Are you joking? Tyler Johnson all of a sudden is going to just shoot the lights off of everybody. Nothing carried over from the first half. No defense, no nothing. Chris Paul got hot. Salty said, which I completely agree with, about Monty sitting him until the 4-minute mark of the second quarter when dude is stifling hot. It's just it was ridiculous, and I know it's just one game, but not a true Suns fan is not going to say this is just one game, because a lot of Suns fans are Arizona State fans too, and Harden always kills Phoenix, always, always, always. So seeing that happen again is so damn frustrating. And two, when you have Steve Nash and Mike D'Antoni on the other side of the court, and I'm sorry, I love you for Steve Nash for what you did, but the way you exited it and the team that you went to is always going to have a salty taste in my mouth. And then to get beat by him
Pause.
it just sucks.
Damn near unforgivable the way he left and who he went to. I don't care, man. Go to anyone but the Lakers. Anyone.
Yep.
It was all just to get a title, which we should want that for him. And
Never. Mm-mm. Not with the Lakers.
Just not with the Lakers, man. Just not with the Lakers. I guess I look back at it with rosy glasses because everyone loves and misses Kobe. So it's like I don't have quite as much hate for that Kobe team that I used to. But yeah, at the time, it was just disgusting because we were their competitors. We were fighting them for that Western Conference Finals appearances, and then he just leaves us for them. Yeah, that felt gross. I don't like seeing Steve Nash come into our building. He doesn't seem like he cares about the Suns. It seems very disingenuous. But why not? Like, I mean, yeah, Sarver sucks, but I don't know. Do you get the impression that he really cares about the Suns? He looks back fondly on the Valley?
I'm sure he does, but I mean, you move on in life. He seems like the type of dude that's not going to hold grudges against anybody or really place any one thing above another. You know what I mean? It's just you move on in life. You have different steps, and he was a coach with Golden State, like a position coach, and worked with KD a whole bunch because that's where his family was, and he wanted to be there. And it really had nothing to do with the Warriors. It was just where his family was. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he's always like New York. He went back to New York every single summer. So maybe it just worked, and he could have Amari and he could have his old coach Mike on the bench to help him out, and has a good relationship with KD. It's just, it is what it is. He looks just like the type of dude that just plays life in front of him. You know what I mean? And so it is what it is.
Salty,
makes me salty as shit.
Salty, what did you think of DeAndre Ayton tonight? Maybe give us a grade.
Before I go on there, I'm going to talk about Steve Nash. I like, honestly,
please.
I love Steve Nash for what he did, but it's a weird disconnect for me with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I definitely am never going to forget what he did with the team, because he did stuff that will never be done, 2 MVPs and the success of the team. But like, it's weird. It's like when he cut his hair, he turned into like a different person or some shit, right? I'm used to the long-haired Steve Nash, and then the short-haired version is the dude that was on the Lakers. And then like the stuff that you guys were talking about, I think he like lives in New York and shit. I remember watching him play soccer in New York and shit.
Right.
So it only makes sense for him to do that, but it's another like weird situation, because it's like, okay, Steve Nash decides to coach and then he gets a super team, and it's like, what the you know what I'm saying? Like, why don't you have to get some shit team you got to work on, like normal individuals, instead of having a super team? But that's neither here nor there. I don't put any of this shit on him. When it comes to DeAndre Ayton, it's funny. It's funny how just it's weird. It's the biggest like divide on Suns Twitter. You either hate him or you love him, and the Ayton stands out there will just stare into the sun and say it doesn't exist. If he has a shit game, they'll find anything that he did right. Past combing his hair after he got out of the shower, and gave him props for that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, dude. This guy, I don't know what the hell's going on with him. Sometimes he comes out, and his defense was not good tonight. He didn't even, I don't think he hit double digits in rebounds tonight. I think he did okay points wise, right? How many do you have? 16?
16.
But those points are coming off of alley-oops, tip-backs, and that's about it. This guy is not a post threat at all. And we talked about this before. It seems like we're always talking about this dude, but he is not close to being a max player or any type of player like that. He's not even in a top 3. Like, if you're building a team and this is your third option, I don't even think that I'd be comfortable giving him that title. He's a good, solid role player on the team. That's it. He doesn't strike fear into players. I was talking about this during the game. He gets the ball in the post and kicks it immediately. Go watch the tape. Anytime he gets the ball in the post, he kicks the ball within like a second because he knows a double team's coming or some shit. I've never seen it with any post player that has any kind of post presence to get the ball and immediately kick it out. Like, that's some beta shit if I've ever seen it, right? Go watch the tape. I'm not lying. This dude, if he gets it in the post, his back's to the basket, he kicks it now. Before his rookie year and the year after that, he'd probably try to do some like fade, like mid-range jumper or some bullshit that he did. Now it's completely, hey, that's not even an option. If I get the ball in the post, I get double teamed, I kick it to a shooter. It's either his points come from maybe off of a pick and roll, maybe here and there, some weak ass layup, and then a tip back or an alley oop, and that's his point. So that's it.
So I wanted to say, Humble Rumble, great point. He's saying it's not. He agrees with you. He's saying it's not DA's fault. Book was 2 for 10 in the fourth. Like, not only was he 2 for 10 in the fourth, he looked terrible, disinterested, and terrible. Like, driving to the rim and forgetting, like, am I left-handed or am I right-handed? Holy shit, the ball got stolen. Ref calls a foul for him. He's like, oh, thank God. And then they go and look at it. It's like, nah, bro, you got ripped. What happened to him? I know you're saying that Coach Monty iced him.
So I want to cook Booker because he deserves it, right? So he's trying to build. I'm fucking retweeting this dude like it's going out of style. I got my avatar changed. I'm fucking going to town for this guy to be an all-star, right? And then on the night that I'm doing this, the last night for voting, this guy, what does he do? Like, I don't care if your coach iced the fuck out of you, which he did. You should be able to overcome that, because Harden was sitting his ass on the bench in the fourth quarter, and he came in and like that 3 to take the lead. Guess who shot that? And guess who had the confidence to shoot that? Harden. So I don't care if the coach was sitting you in an ice bucket over there. You need to come in, light it the fuck up, like Chris Paul. Chris Paul he has a killer's mentality, and you see him go the fuck off in the fourth quarter. He wanted to win that game, and Booker came in like he just got sucked off by Kendall Jenner on the sideline, or he's thinking about something going on.
It had
right?
rubber legs,
and he's like, he just blew his load. Whoa! Think twice. Oh my God! Like,
which arm do I dribble with?
Basketball, what I'm saying? So it's like, Booker, if you want to get into that superstar discussion, don't have games like this. I'm sorry, because James Harden, he's gonna kill you. Like, because I was looking at the game and I was like counting the points down. I'm like, okay, Steve Nash is actually doing what a good coach would do. He's riding his hot players to get the lead down, and guess what? It got to like 2 points or something like that, and then James Harden came in. I'm like, this dude is gonna cook us to win the game. And what does he do? He cooks us, right? And then the defensive assignments were all fucked up. Like, they would always switch off Ayton to Harden, and Harden would drive in and know that the defense is collapsing and kick to an open shooter. But what the main thing that I have to cook Devin Booker's ass tonight is there's a play where I don't have the tape to show you right now, but he was fading off into the paint. They swung the basketball to a shooter. Wide open fucking 3, and this dude just stands there. I could go find I'll find the play later and post it on Twitter. But he had a chance to run out on the shooter like you're supposed to, and guess what he did? He didn't fucking run out. He just stands there. Yeah. Hey, shoot it like it's like fucking 21, right? Hey, go take your shot. And I'm like, dude, like what is going on with the Suns team, especially their leader Booker, where you think that you could just leave any shooter in the NBA open for 3 and that's okay. And at that moment when I saw that play, I was like, we're going to lose. And it's not because we're losing because of lack of talent. It's because you're believing that your shit don't stink. You know what I'm saying? Like, you believe that you're that good that you can beat a Brooklyn team with one of the best players on it, even if they don't have their 2 superstars on there, and you could just take plays off, and that was the play that showed me that they didn't deserve to win and that they weren't going to win. So that Booker could say whatever the fuck he wants about being a contender and a winner and this and that. If you don't want to go guard people out on the 3, you don't have anything that it takes to become a winner, you know? So rant over.
Nice segue. Gary, your thoughts on Ayton tonight, man? And you watched the end of the game.
I think he just is what he is. I mean, it's kind of what he just got done saying. I agree. He seems to be. I was going to actually ask you guys before he said that, but are the expectations that he's going to evolve and be this really productive first overall pick, or has everybody come to grips with the fact that he is what he is? He's probably a role player, whether he's a quiet starter or you bring him off the bench or you do whatever. But I mean, to me, like, there isn't a part of me that thinks, I don't know, man, another year or two, he's going to be like, you're going to be talking about him and Embiid and Cat and guys like that as far as bigs go. Like, I don't even think that or kick that around. I don't know. I think he is what he is. He's going to have a lot of double doubles and get you more rebounds than not most of the time. You know, he's not going to do well against big physical centers. He's going to do all right against other ones. He just, I don't know. I don't see any reason to think that he's going to evolve into something. Like, it's pretty obvious he is what he is. And it's games like this that's what you can get. Like, I mean, is that how you guys think, or do you still have like this, or I shouldn't say you guys necessarily, I mean the Suns, like, staff and the core of the fans, like, are there still these expectations that he's gonna
let me
Coach, I was gonna ask you,
Here's,
Coach, take it.
Here's the problem why everybody brought up Booker and the Beal stuff, right? At the beginning of the season was consistency. How many times do we say consistency and effort and all that stuff starting the rough season? It was daily. It was half by half. We didn't see any type of consistency, and it's unfortunate. It's the same thing with Book. It's hard to use the past 5 years as kind of like to prove it to you, because he's never been on a competitive team, right? We can't say he's inconsistent, but he's always been on absolute terrible teams. But when things like this happen, it's so freaking glaring. Stars, superstars, all-stars, they don't go through long periods where you disappear. I said that so much, and then he started coming back, and he wasn't disappearing in games anymore. And he disappeared this game from the second quarter on, man. Phoenix Suns fans, just like DeAndre Ayton fans, they think he's the second coming of Kobe. We see it. We say it when he does this weird fadeaway going away from the hoop and into the corner, and he makes it. Look at his footwork. It's Kobe-esque. And it's like, no, the footwork that was about it. That's Kobe-esque, because he's not. I don't think he's as clutch. He has the clutch gene, but he doesn't have the clutch gene mutated like Kobe did, right? If he had the clutch gene, he would have never let what happened happen tonight. Regardless, you guys see Langston Galloway sitting on the bench all game, come in the third quarter, first shot is a 3 and makes it. So you can't make that excuse that he was on the bench too long. Yes, it's true. Monty should have put him in. That we're not excusing that part. He should have, but you're a professional, dog. You're the one that's supposed to be taking us to the ship. You're the anointed one, right? And that's the thing about Book, is I just see his inconsistencies.
So now, same breakdown, Coach, if you will, of Ayton. Like, what is the expectancy of Ayton? Like, what is it that we are expecting? Are we expecting him to open his game up and be both defensive and offensive?
We don't know. That's the problem that we're all having. I have no idea what we're gonna get from DeAndre Ayton every single night. We have no idea. Absolutely none. And that's the frustrating part. And that's why we need to part ways with the man while he still has some value, because we need somebody that we know what we're going to get. If we can count you in 15 and 15, if we can count you at 12 and 10, that's better than a streaky 16 and 9 or a
hot take
9 and 9.
He wants to get rid of DA. Now, here's my question. are the T-Wolves going to want anything to do with DA? I mean, how much are we going to have to give them to get Cat?
Right. I mean, just look at the salaries. We're going to have to give him a lot. So we have to get a third team involved. Who are we going to trade, right? We're going to trade Dario. We're going to trade Jay Crowder. No, they just traded for Dario or traded away Dario
Nah, I
2
mean,
seasons ago.
they'll see him as a young center, right? I mean, when you're in that position as a team trading your star, you're kind of in a, I don't know. Sometimes you're in a no-win situation. Sometimes, you'd have to give up multiple first-round picks, I would think, and then you'd have to give up Ayton, and then they probably ask for Cam Johnson or something.
You're muted, Gabe. Yeah. No, you're good.
Go ahead.
I don't know if we've harped on DA so much. We've harped on Booker and his up and down season so much. Chris Paul played great. I mean, Jay Crowder, the starter, played great. It was sad not to see any Frank Kaminsky. I thought a guy like that, he could have come in and done something. It just wasn't in the works. He's going with matchups. There wasn't another big for him to match up with.
Nader was playing.
If Kaminsky would have come in and guarded anybody on that, it would have been worse than it was on the perimeter. There was nobody Kaminsky could guard inside, which was the sad part. And they took it to us. I mean, Dario Saric had some impact. Campaign looked good. Etuan Moore was invisible. It just is what it is. I think you just need to chalk this up to what it is. You lost to one of the great superstars in the league. You need to move on. But giving up a 24-point lead, man, that's killer. I hope we don't go back to the end of the season. We were talking about the Detroit game, or we were talking about the Washington game. At least we got beat convincingly in those. This one sucks, man. So I'm worried about the negative impact this could have moving forward. We do have 2 days off, but we got to go play a team that just blew us out, which could give us the extra motivation. Last time we played them in the Pelicans, that's what I'm worried about now. I just don't even want to think about that bullshit we just witnessed anymore.
Yeah, man, we can definitely wash our hands of this real quick here.
Well, let me ask you guys this real quick though, because I was going to respond when you were talking earlier, Gabe, and you said you can accept it more if Kyrie and KD are playing, but as far as like getting, for me, like as not as a fan, just looking at talent, skill, depth, defense, you know what I mean? The well-roundedness, the completeness of team ball. There's nothing about that game that makes me think that run, that setup, if you guys were playing a 7-game series, that Nets team would have a chance of beating you guys in 4, right? You're getting 4 wins.
Yeah.
So to me, if you went and did what you just did for 6 games and then run into a super team with all 3 of them playing and you get beat or you give up a 20-point lead or you do whatever, then to me, that raises a lot of questions of like, how for real are the Suns? They're obviously better than middle of the road, but when they run into these big dogs, they can't handle it, even though they ran through all these other teams. And you can maybe the Sixers were, but I mean, you guys were down by 20 to the Bucks and came back and beat them. So it's like, it's not like it's a super lopsided or, oh my God, we got this 20-point lead, we don't know what to do. You won 6 in a row. You're up by 20 at halftime. It's human nature. I know it's not popular and nobody's should be
right.
happy.
No, you're right.
But it's human nature. You can be like, man, we're on a roll, man. We're on fire. Like one of my other buddies that bets too, I was talking to him last night. He goes, who do you think the hottest team is right now? I'm like, the Suns. Like they're just, everything's clicking. Like everything at different points is clicking and are on different levels. And then he texts me a little before halftime and he's like, man, you weren't lying about the Suns. And then they stopped doing that. And it went the other way. But it's still like, that's there. That's a thing that you guys have and can do and will do. I mean, if you wouldn't have been up by 20 and you only been up by 8, you probably would have won the game because people wouldn't have lost interest or people wouldn't have kicked it in cruise control. Monty wouldn't have left guys thinking, I'm going to sneak some time and getting these guys on the bench or whatever. We got a 20-point cushion. Like there's just a lot of shit happens, especially in the middle of the season in the NBA. And it's like, I get it from a fan's perspective being upset, but it's just like,
It's almost like the NFL lately. It's like it doesn't matter who's playing who. If somebody goes up 21, like you can almost expect that the game's going to get close towards the end because they're going to go in that 2-minute offense. They're going to start doing things that they weren't doing. They're going to start taking the chances that they weren't taking. Like I expected the Nets to come out and continue to just fire from three because that's what they do,
I did too.
and that was the only way they were going to get back in it and win. What I didn't expect was for Devin Booker to stand at the block and watch Shamet step into a wide open three and to just watch these guys drilling like Jeff Green. Oh, Jeff Green, you're old. You probably won't hit, will you? Oh, what do you know? Bucket.
Swish.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like that is the Suns' Achilles heel on defense, not closing out on three.
Fifth worst defensive team in the league when it comes to opponents shooting three, which I actually haven't seen any stats until today, but I've been harping on it since freaking game one that their closeouts and 3-point defense is horrendous. It's that Olay BS again, but you know.
Salty, do you have anything left to say about this Nets game?
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal. I'm not pissed about it at all, dude. Like I said, I can put hot takes out there all I want. I mean, it's a long NBA season. You're going to lose games. You're going to lose close games. Just like Gary said, we were down 20 or whatever to the Bucks, and then we came back and beat them, right? I mean, it happens. 20-point leads come and go in the NBA. There's runs all the time. It happens. It's basketball. It's a game of runs, and like I said, it's just it's one of the cases of I think this team just started believing that their shit doesn't stink. That's just the way it goes. I mean, people are talking about you nationally. Every game that they're talking about you in the future tense, like this. The Suns are a playoff team. The Suns are this and that. The Suns are, power rankings, ranked number 2.
Here we go again.
It's like, trust me, the Suns see the headlines. Like, they'll tell you they don't look at that stuff, but they do. They do, man. Like, because the players will be quick to tell you that they're disrespected by the media. Well, how do they know that if they're not watching the headlines, dude? They watch them, So it's like, yeah, bro. National media start pumping you up and then you shit the bed. That's fine. Now, typically in sports like this, what would the coach tell you to do? He would ream you a new one, right? I said this on Twitter. I would say, after the game was over, I'd have them do suicides or run wind sprints and then bitch them out in the locker room. And then after that was all done, I would say, flush the tape down the toilet, forget about it, and let's go win some games, dude. Like, that's it. I mean, you watch the tape, you go over the bad stuff, and then you flush it down the toilet because you have so many games coming up. You're still in the top 4 spot or whatever. You lost, and you look at the homestand. You won 6 out of 7 games. You lost to arguably one of the best teams in the NBA. Now, if you flush out the fact that they had two of their superstars out, and then you look at this 7-game stretch, you lost to the Nets. Big fucking deal. You beat the Bucks. You beat the Sixers. You beat this and that. You won however many games out of 12. You know what I'm saying? So you start looking at that. Things can be fixed. Now, I don't know what Monty's going to do with the lineup because Frank was taken out of the starter's role, and I don't even remember him playing. I was watching the game.
He didn't play. Langston Galloway didn't play, and Javon Carter again didn't play.
So, explain to me the thought process from a coach, right? I don't know what happened. Maybe he got in the doghouse because that happens on the team. How do you go from starting a dude and winning like 5 in a row to not starting him and not playing him, and he's not hurt? How does that happen?
There was nobody he could guard. There was no inside presence. There was nobody. DeAndre Jordan is their only big guy, and I don't even remember making an impact. And once they went 5 out, man, you can't have Frank guard anybody on the outside. But the way DeAndre Ayton played, I would have rather have rolled the dice and put in Frank Kaminsky to guard James Harden. At least he would have put forth some damn heart and effort. Should have put Saric in, honestly.
Yeah.
So by what you're saying, it makes sense from a rational standpoint. But what doesn't make sense is if you look at matchups like you were talking about, if they're rolling small ball out there, which they did in the fourth quarter, and they're cooking you off switches, and you leave a big man in there, that makes no fucking logical sense, because if you're a matchup guy, you would say, okay, we're getting killed on the switches because they're doing this on purpose. They would do a screen and roll on the top, right? And then purposely get DeAndre Ayton switched off on Harden. And then what happens? Harden drives in and he cooks Ayton, because then we help off. Like, go watch the tape. Then another player will help off down low and leave shooters open. And then what does Harden do? He kicks the ball, open three, kicks the ball, open three. So that's why I'm saying it's on Monty, because you did all these switches with lineups with Frank. You didn't even play him, but then you couldn't make adjustments in the fourth and then put someone to actually guard Harden or go small. Like, I don't buy that. You know,
he didn't make the in-game adjustment at all. It was trash. I mean, we've seen the Suns go zone, and he didn't even try to go zone one time when they were doing that, you know? I mean, they were playing 5 out, so the last thing you want to do is go to a 2-3 or even a 3-2. You don't want to do that, but it's just I got nothing, because it doesn't make any sense.
Terrible game, man. Let's just look forward, because like we said, this is one of those games that you just kind of throw the tape away. So let's throw the tape away.
Either way, I think all of us would agree you can't start Cam Johnson or Frank Kaminsky going against New Orleans and Zion, against like Steven Adams, Brandon Ingram, and then Zion. You have to start Jay anyways, right? So,
jeez,
I don't know.
Jay's gonna get his ass eaten by Zion
if they play team defense.
So who's gonna match up better against
Nobody.
Zion's a beast, dude. He's like one of my favorite players in the NBA, period.
It's going to be fun to watch.
That dude is baby Shaq. If you want to call anybody Shaq, like that
short
dude,
Shaq.
Just midget version of Shaq, dude.
Yeah.
Imposes his will. Now, I think it's a revenge game for the Suns. Now I'm going to say that they're going to lose, because hopefully that will give them karma to win. But they got their ass clapped by New Orleans last time, so it was like a revenge game from a revenge game, you know, because we clapped them, then they clapped us back, and then I guess we'll see who does the clapping next time, you know.
So it's a double revenge game. It's a revenge game and a letdown game. We're going to be upset about tonight, and then we're also going to be upset that they beat us. I think we'll have plenty of motivation to get that W.
This is going to be a big game, because don't look now. They're starting to charge on some people. They're starting to collect a few wins here or there. I mean, we could easily go through more protocols. We're going to lose. We could lose some more guys. We don't know what's going to happen. So beating them and getting the 2 out of 3 split, I think, is pivotal going into the Western Conference, just because they're starting to look good again. I mean, they beat the Grizzlies like 144 to 113 or something crazy tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like with New Orleans, they do really, really good, or they do really poor. It's kind of not in between with them.
Any help tonight from any other teams? Celtics help us by beating the Nuggets. Gotta love that. Pelicans, hopefully the Pelicans spent all their points tonight. 144. Good God.
They got Portland tomorrow.
Yeah.
Good. Let Dame wear them out for us.
I think they'll get worked that game.
Raptors.
Lakers still clapping people without AD, dude.
Well, okay. I watched this game, and it was close. And it was just a thing where the Timberwolves suck that bad, and they don't have D'Angelo Russell. I think the Lakers are in trouble. I smell blood. I think the league teams smell blood. Watch the Lakers. Let's take a look at the Lakers schedule just really quickly to see what they have coming up. So they got the Nets next. I bet you they beat them. Miami, look at this. They're going to have to work for it without AD. Apparently, AD is going to be out until after the All-Star game. So I'm loving what's going to happen to the Lakers. I'm really hoping that he can't carry the load by himself, and I just don't think he can. Do you guys? Do you guys think that they're going to just be fine without AD?
What's their schedule? Did you show it?
Mm-hmm. I got it up right now. So they're going to be playing versus Brooklyn, versus Miami, versus Washington. Then they've got Utah, Portland, Golden State, us, and then Sacramento. No AD. All right, man. So let's take a look at our schedule here. Let's see, anyone else first though? Blazers. Dang it, they win. And what happened with the Spurs game tonight, man? Was it COVID or the weather?
I think it's COVID. So them, the Hornets, and I think the Pistons, like the next 3 games are going to be postponed. Spurs supposed to play the Cavs tomorrow. That's already been postponed.
Yeah, we had that happen to us, man. We had that happen to us this season. It's no fun. But we pulled through, don't you think, Coach, and got better after those 3 games off. It was kind of a turning point for us, got a little bit healthier. Schedule. So, Salty, we've got New Orleans, Memphis, Portland, Charlotte, Chicago, Minnesota. Yo! Where you at, Tim? Tim, you in the chat? I'm thinking we go another 7-0. Look at this juicy schedule. And we don't have Coach here to get on our backs for looking at the schedule to coming ahead. New Orleans, very winnable. Memphis,
It's winnable but tough.
Winnable.
Tough.
You
Charlotte,
think LaMelo Ball's gonna ball on us?
they're more competitive, but that's winnable.
Very winnable. Chicago, very winnable.
I mean, you could say
Minnesota.
You could say that about pretty much every team but Minnesota. They're all. I mean, the Suns could beat any team in the NBA. Really, they could lose to any team in the NBA too.
I could see an 8-0 scenario coming up, man. I really could. Hey, somebody's got to call it. Somebody's got to call it.
Chugging the Kool-Aid all the time.
No, bro. So Tim's here.
Championship squad 8-0. I could see him going like undefeated this season. The rest of the year.
We could fucking beat anybody. Timothy says he was calling a 13-0 run if we won this. And yes, we did have it in the bag. But so, Tim, are you with me? You think we're going to go ahead and Iverson says, don't jinx us. Hey, man, I've been calling wins. I've been calling the wins that we've won. And I called this last one. It just happened that we got screwed by ourselves.
I could see a 40-40 game by Ayton, 40 points, 40 rebounds. I could see us going on a 20 game run.
See that. I really can't see that. No.
Okay.
But yeah, man, appreciate you guys coming out. I think we said all we need to say about this disgusting sham of a game. Booker let us down. Salty, any other last thoughts?
Well, Booker let us down, but he's still ramming Kendall Jenner, so I guess he catches the W.
So he wins anyways.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate y'all both coming out. Thanks, Spurs fan Gary. Gosh, I hope we get a game up against the Spurs so we can really go at it one of these nights. But appreciate you guys. Have a good night, everybody. We'll come back, try to get a better win in 3 nights. And we'll see you guys then.
They just dip out.